Hi, everyone. Jimmy Good here again with another episode of the Critical Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. And as always, I'm joined by I'm going to call him my co-host because I can do that now, Mr. Joe Lever. Joe, how's it going today, buddy?
Thanks for the warm welcome, Jimmy. Always a pleasure to join you for these podcasts. It's becoming a bit of a regular thing now, isn't it?
It is becoming. I want everybody to just wake up and think like, I need my breakfast. I need to think about the day ahead and work, and I need to see what Joe and Jimmy are talking about. That's what I want.
I'm only a little self-centered. I like to think that people need to hear my voice,
Exactly. This is what podcasts are all about. I was telling Mr. Sunday Movies who were talking about, I was like, yeah, I started a podcast. He's like, great, that's good for you. It's a good way to get out your personal vendettas. And I'm like, yeah, it's just like my own little place to spout my tripe off my little soapbox. But anyway, thanks again for everybody joining us. And you're probably looking at that beautiful picture by one Yoren Evers. If you'd like to, he is a freelance artist who, if you contact him on Twitter, and I'll put that link and stuff, his art station down below, you can say hi, tell him that Critical Reviews or Jimmy sent you. See how he's doing. He's a great guy. Anyway, so to anybody who might be new to this whole thing, because Joe and I are still pretty new, wouldn't you say, Joe? We're still pretty new at this?
We're new to the podcast game, but I think we're getting a good jump on it.
Yeah, I think so. But for anyone who is new to it, what we do here is we talk about things, more news related, but, in video games, movies, TV shows, things like that. Things that pique our interest. And as Joe said in the last episode, I believe, these are the most important things in the entire world. So
get your priorities straight, people.
You'd like. Exactly. I love it. Anyway, today's topics for discussions, we're going to have 4 of them, just to kind of give you a little bit of framework here. We're going to discuss 2 new trailers for movies. We got Star Wars Rogue One we're going to talk about first, and then eventually we'll get to Suicide Squad. But after Star Wars Rogue One, we're going to talk about the new Gears of War 4 trailer. It's a little teaser trailer, cinematic trailer. And then at the very end of all this, we're going to talk about another teaser for Titanfall 2. So there's going to be a lot of good things in there. But we're going to start off talking about Star Wars Rogue One. So, Joe, I know you're not a huge Star Wars guy. You saw Force Awakens. You've seen the other Star Wars, some of them here and there. What do you think about this trailer? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I've seen parts of the older Star Wars movies. I went and saw the Force Awakens, which obviously in today's day and age with the technology that they can throw at these movies, it was well worth it, and I really enjoyed it. They kind of piqued my interest as far as Star Wars is concerned, and I know I'll give the next ones a try, and I kind of want to go back and watch the old ones as well to kind of figure out the Star Wars universe, which for somebody who hasn't seen any of the movies or hasn't kept up on it is very confusing. But
yeah, definitely, totally.
So this new Rogue One trailer, sorry.
There you go. No, it's all right. It's kind of confusing.
I found it very interesting and cool. It seems like that character, the girl there, neat character for sure. More to come on it, I suppose, through their trailers and marketing, but I like what I see.
Yeah, and, I kind of wanted to talk to you specifically about this because you are probably one of my friends that isn't as crazy about Star Wars as I am, so you have a unique perspective looking at this. So my question to you is, and you kind of maybe asked me this before we started, but do you know exactly like when this is taking place, for someone who doesn't really a huge fan of the films?
Well, I'm pretty sure I saw the Death Star or what looked like it.
That's true. Yes, so, very good.
I don't know. Is it back in the day or I don't know.
So yeah, that's totally no. It's kind of confusing. If you didn't know, there's only a few little hints here and there to kind of tell you what the time period is. Like the stormtroopers kind of look like old school stormtroopers, but it's set kind of right before the events of Star Wars: A New Hope, which is the 4th one in the order, if you will. So that's when the Death Star was like the new power in the galaxy. So it's right before that, and these are this is kind of the backstory to explain how they got the plans to the Death Star, which is a lot of how that's how A New Hope wraps up, basically. If you haven't, for some reason, if you haven't seen it, and I know, Joe, you've seen bits and pieces here and there, but that's kind of to help you kind of center yourself, because it is kind of hard to tell where this is, because for someone who might just be getting into Star Wars, or people who might have just seen The Force Awakens, you might think like, oh, this is like a continuation of the story, but it's not necessarily that. So it could be a little confusing.
Yeah, I think I saw parts of the one with Darth Maul, redheaded.
Okay, so that'd be the Phantom Menace. Yeah, that's episode 1. So that was a while ago.
Riddle me this: what the hell happened to that guy? He was awesome.
Okay, that's an excellent question, Joe. And I think they talked about it in the new Star Wars Rebels show at the end of season 2. He shows back up. So basically, what happens? He gets cut in half. We all thought he was dead. Apparently, he survived. He survives like in the expanded universe. Yeah, exactly. You just live through it. But in the expanded universe, I think he lives, and then in Star Wars, the Clone Wars TV show, he comes back. They find him, his brother, Savage Opress, who is another Dathomirian, that's what they are. They're from Dathomir. Or, sorry, they're not. He's a Zabrak from Dathomir. My apologies. Wow, this is getting great. But anyway, so he goes and he finds his brother, Darth Maul, who is on this junk planet because he got thrown away at the trash. And for some odd reason, Darth Maul constructed like this like lower half of like a spider body. And he's kind of crazy for some odd reason because he's just been like half dead the whole time. And he's just been kind of like savage, if you will. But he ends up getting like some mechanical regular legs. And then he and his brother end up kind of working together to take down the galaxy. Basically, they want to be the new big bad. So they want to go back and fight Emperor Palpatine, who is Darth Maul's original master. And that doesn't go very well. Palpatine ends up killing Savage Opress, his brother, and Darth Maul barely escapes with his life. So last I heard, he was at large in the universe. I don't know what happens at the end of Rebels Season 2. He could still appear. That would be kind of cool, because he was one of a few beloved characters in Star Wars, the prequels, that people wanted to see more of, and we just never really got that chance, unfortunately. He was a pretty cool guy.
I decided he was neat. I don't know much about him, but I just think he's kind of badass, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. But besides that, the trailer, it looks pretty good. I'm interested to see a Star Wars that doesn't really have a lot of Jedi in it. I don't think it's going to have any. It might have it might have Darth Vader. I'm really hoping that we see him. I hope we get to see Darth Vader in his prime. Because unfortunately, in those old movies, they just didn't have the technology. But now we could show what a fully powered Darth Vader could potentially do.
Exactly.
And that's really intriguing to me. Like, that's who I want them to, like, forget all the other bad guys. And maybe I'll end up liking some of these guys. There's like a new Grand Moff or whatever that general guy looks like in the white. But I want Vader. I want Vader to come in. I want this whole, like, ending sequence where there's, like, 8 of these people on this heist team to get these plans. And there's, like, 2 or 3 people who are like, we'll stay behind and try to hold them back for, like, 5 seconds while you guys run. Because it's, like, a no-win situation if you're going against Darth Vader, which be so good. And,
this girl seems to really wreck some face, which looks awesome. I mean, she's...
Yeah, one thing that's always confused me, though, about, like, this trailer especially, and some, other times, it just movies in general, is how people with blasters, usually like guards or whatever, they always get too close. And in this one, you see stormtroopers on like 2 occasions kind of get hit at like melee range. And it's like, what are you guys doing? Just back up a little bit. Like, they were drawn in by something. But yeah, another powerful female lead character. And I think that's, I applaud Star Wars for doing that, because we've had 2 sets of trilogies now which are focused all around the guys, and it's kind of nice, besides like Padme and Leia, obviously. But it's nice to have these strong female characters in Star Wars, and it's not just a boys club, because it's not, the fans of Star Wars are not just guys.
Oh,
so
true.
Good on them. True. I like it.
Well put.
Good for them. But you're excited about this? You excited to come see it in December?
Yeah, and there's something about the old Star Wars movies and the prequels. They just didn't really they didn't attract my interest so much. Maybe because it wasn't as, it seemed kind of, I'm trying to think of the best way to put this, but without the CGI and those things that they can do now, it just didn't seem as compelling to me. It was kind of, I don't know, that I'll just leave it at that. But these, Force Awakens, man, all the cool stuff they can do with the computer generated graphics and all that. Oh man, just a feast for the eyes. And these new ones, I'm sure more of that, obviously, and that excites me a little bit. But that being said, with these new ones, kind of jump starting my interest, that's where I come to the point where, man, maybe I should go back and check out these old ones, and I know they can't be bad. I mean, people love them. So, yeah, on my bucket list of things to do here.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, one big complaint about the prequels, Joe, that you might not have known about was that they did use a lot of CGI that has become very outdated looking. So when you go back to some of it, it's like, ooh, that you could tell that it was it's in its fledgling state.
You put my thoughts
it's
in the
not
words,
like,
Jimmy. The CGI back then wasn't as, up and up as it is now, for sure. So.
For sure. And, there are some movies, though, that do stand the test of time. I will, it's like The Lord of the Rings. They really nailed Smeagol, Gollum, that whole thing. Like, it still looks super good today. And that's just like, some of that stuff really works, and sometimes it just doesn't.
That's it's a good point to bring up. I mean, you and I are big Jurassic Park fans, and not to get off topic, but I mean, the first Jurassic Park.
That's okay.
The use of physical props and real items, the robot dinosaurs and stuff. I mean, animatronics. That was the word I was looking for. But perfect. Mm-hmm. I still watch Jurassic Park, the first Jurassic Park. Let me be clear on that. The first Jurassic Park. I still watch that today, and I'm like, oh my God, it's awesome. I even in high def and all that, I love it. And the raptors and the frickin' down in the power, man.
Where Ellie Sattler's
all
by
that
herself.
One, and when they're in the kitchen, I still have nightmares. Ugh.
That kitchen scene is amazing. And I don't know, we might have talked about this, Joe, but I was watching some special features for Jurassic World, and Colin Trevorrow and Chris Pratt were talking to each other. And at one point, they were talking about this kind of cool scene they had planned out where there was going to be a robotic T-Rex, and the Indominus Rex, who is the quote-unquote villain of that film, which I think that's debatable, but it rips off the head of the T-Rex. And they were both thinking, that's just a cool movie shot. But Steven Spielberg, being the intelligent guy that he is, said, that's probably going to make a lot of people angry, because it's almost like saying, here's our new CGI dinosaur, and it's so much better than robots. And I would have been real angry at that. I would have been like, that's
I'll back that one up. I would have been really pissed.
Yeah, and when watching that too, the featurette, it was so hard because I'll give it to the actors and actresses or whatever, they did a good job of being afraid of things that really weren't there, because for the entire film, pretty much, there weren't any dinosaurs, and they had to edit them in after.
Well, that's how a lot of things are done now. That's how acting is, and it's expected of the actors. I mean, Transformers, for example, half the time they're looking at a pole with a tennis ball at the end.
Well, that's fine, yeah, but I understand that with Transformers, because that's how it's always been. Jurassic Park, unfortunately, in a weird way for me, started at its zenith and has only kind of gone down from there, especially with this new stuff. I get that CGI allows you to make your dinosaurs run and it looks real or whatever, but I can always tell when it's fake, especially when you compare it to those old animatronics that can't do that much. They did a lot.
Yeah.
You don't have to make your dinosaur in the full shot all the time. That was one thing Spielberg did really well, is that they were animatronics and he couldn't show their full bodies all the time. So he made really interesting use of the shots. It was like, oh, this dinosaur is behind this these trees or these bushes over here.
Because most of the time the legs are hidden. They can't show the legs because they don't have animatronic legs most of the time, right? It's normally just an upper body and head. Or a tail. Or
they put people in a suit. Yeah, they put people in the raptor claws and stuff in the kitchen. They put people in legging suits.
Yeah, similar. It's with the CGI raptors. I know they actually made foam body suits for these guys with tails, heads that were animatronic and all that. Then they can CGI it up afterward, and that normally works out real well. And especially for a dinosaur of that scale. But think back to the first Jurassic Park where you got the T-Rex and, they're stuck in the mud and it just broke through the fence. That in the rain and all that. Oh, so awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, fun other little thing about that every time I think about this now is when the T-Rex smashes through the ceiling or whatever, that window ceiling on the kids, and they have to hold the glass up. Amazing scene. I love that scene a lot. And apparently, I don't know if we talked about this before, Joe, but that wasn't supposed to happen like that. He was supposed to come down and not push it so hard against them, but apparently it hit too hard, and they're struggling to keep that T-Rex between the glass between the two of them, because it slammed into them that hard on those kids. I was like, that's even better because it looks perfect. Like that shot is, they nailed it. And those kids are probably like, "You almost killed us." And Spielberg's like, "Yes, but the shot was amazing." Like,
yeah,
it's
well,
so
because
good.
the electronics in the rain were, going haywire, and
Yeah.
and think about it, they're going down and they're hitting that glass, and those kids were literally terrified, thinking they're going to be crushed by a giant hydraulic dinosaur. I know I'd be
And
scared.
see, no matter how good of an actor you are, you will never get that same type of fear and that excitement without having that thing to play off of, because those animals, those, I shouldn't say animals, animatronics were actors. They were, the greatest actors, because they made us all believe that dinosaurs were back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that this new Jurassic World, unfortunately, doesn't do, because it's just like, and they even bring back the old T-Rex, and it just hurts my heart because I don't want to see the CGI version of that thing. I've seen it in the past, and they show it a little bit here and there, like doing the CGI stuff, but it's not a crazy amount of stuff. It's not fighting around and do all that. I like seeing it fight, that's fine, but it's just not doing all this crazy stuff. It just hurts me,
the Indominus Rex was a little hokey to me. It looked kind of blah, and the way it could open its freaking jaws like a dang snake and get it around that globe and all that. It was too. Yeah, I need to watch the movie again just to get my real critical take on it.
We should do a commentary.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun.
We should do a commentary. Look forward to that, guys. We'll do that one day.
But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't won over by the Indominus Rex. It was almost like too much, and then I'll admit, I got a little fanboyish when the T-Rex was in the movie, and I thought, oh, T-Rex, that thing was... It's the staple dinosaur of the Jurassic Park series. And
for sure.
No matter how they show it, I still love it. I think they did a good job with it, even though it was CGI. It looked awesome and all that. And you cannot beat... it was just spoon-feeding you fan favorites, at the end where it's up there on that rock and it roars and it's like, oh yeah, Jurassic Park, But, you gotta miss those animatronics a little bit. They were so well done, and the time and craftsmanship into them, it all paid off because you can't beat it. It was real. There's no way to say, oh, that didn't look real. No, it freaking looked real. It was physically there, and the detail was spot on.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what reminds me so much of like the original Back to Star Wars and The Force Awakens there too. They used a lot more practical effects, and it really shows because you can tell. And even, now I'm just happy to see it, even if I'm like, okay, that little alien over there is clearly not a real alien. But the fact that someone put in so much time and details into this little thing that it really makes me feel like I'm watching a real world.
No matter what, you can tell it's physically there, and it allows you to kind of believe a little more. It's a little more believable because it can actually be touched and moved, and you can definitely feel that physical presence when it's a real physical object. And
for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I got to commend Star Wars for that. They do maintain somewhat of a healthy balance of physical animatronics or objects and that sort of thing, as opposed to all CGI. And all movies, for that matter, should take that into account and try and find that balance of bolstering it up a bit with the CGI, but still using some of the more physical props and whatnot. I think that's important.
Yeah, for sure. And the problem too is that with such like the visual fidelity of things, we keep getting better and better technology. Mm-hmm. So when we keep moving forward, if you make something that's like, you're like, oh, this is crazy years in advance, in maybe 5 or 10 years, it might not look that good. So when you have something like that, you run the risk of saying like in the future, our movie might not hold up, which might not be a concern to most people. But I think in some instances, like a person that really used it real well is, I forgot the director's name. Is it George Miller? Something like that. Anyway, who did Mad Max Fury Road. Yeah. But he did an amazing job of using all the most of all the cars and stuff were real and all the actors were real. But then he would just edit in the valleys and stuff. So it'd be like they'd be out in the middle of the desert, but then he would CGI in like they were in a canyon. So it allowed them to be safer, but it also was just like, oh yeah, because our CGI does such a good job rendering inanimate objects. and that's what we should focus on,
that's
as opposed
smart,
to just main characters.
because that'll hold up over time too. The quality will always be
it
there.
looks so much better. Yeah, and it could really help you make interesting locations that you couldn't do otherwise, as opposed to putting all of your time and effort in on a few crazy characters or like a really weird dinosaur like the Indominus Rex, which, if given the chance, Joe, I think you could probably come up with an even crazier cool dinosaur than if they're like, Joe, you can make a dinosaur out of whatever dinosaurs you want for this movie. I think you could make a really cool one.
I'm actually pretty artistic, and I don't think I'd make it so ridiculous. I don't know. It wasn't ridiculous looking. It just, had some horns on it, whatever. I don't know. But I could have come up with something a little neater. But they did an alright job. I can't nitpick at it too much. I know they needed to create a big bad beastie to kind of be that villain, even though that point can be argued, right? It's just mistreated, and, the
humans, man. They're the villains.
Exactly. So
they're the worst.
We're
the worst.
I know we're getting into this whole tangent, but I think it's a good one. I mean, there are some points to be made. I mean, think about this. Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. Prime example. Who doesn't love The Lord of the Rings? Oh, man.
Yeah, even if you're intimidated by them, I think if you just saw bits and pieces, you could at least appreciate everything about them. Well, at least it's so hard. I'm too close to it.
Yeah.
But to me, they nailed it. And unfortunately, I think the thing you're getting at is that The Hobbit, they went too hardcore on the CGI, and it doesn't feel authentic anymore. One thing that Lord of the Rings really nails, especially in the Two Towers, is it almost feels like it's like part of our world or something. Like it's historical, and it's like there's fantastical things that do happen in it, but it's pretty grounded for a lot of, especially that movie. But then in The Hobbit, it blows it wide open, and it's just like, nope, this is just crazy fantasy town, and it just it really bums me out.
Because you look at The Lord of the Rings, think about all those costumes they made for like the orcs and stuff. All those orcs, well, not all of them obviously, but for the greater amount of orcs that you saw in there, they were mostly real people, movie extras in costume, which is awesome. You can't beat it, right? I always forget the name of that like main orc leader when he's running down the riverbank leading those orcs. You're
talking about Lurtz?
Yeah, is he like the taller kind of?
Yeah, he kills Boromir.
Yeah.
That guy's sweet.
They were like old elves or whatever that they dug out of the ground.
They're like twisted elves. Yeah, the Uruk-hai.
Yeah. There you go.
I guess they're a special blend.
So
but anyway.
Cool. And then now they go to this CGI guy with half an arm with a sword sticking through it.
It's really unfortunate. The problem too is that he is the guy, I think Manu Bennett or whatever.
Good actor.
The guy who played Slade Wilson. Great actor. And he's not a huge menacing guy, but they could have still used like his physical features and just given him an outfit, and he would have fit well compared to the Hobbits, like just his size compared to Hobbit size. He would have been perfect.
Make him orc looking like they did with the Lord of the Rings series, and it would have been awesome. It would have been real, as opposed to this, CGI, which you can totally tell. Him and his second in command guy that has a weird eye and
Bolg? I think that's like his son, weirdly enough.
See, Jimmy, that's how much I care. I saw the first Hobbit, and I was like, well, this is...
See, I had to, just because I read the book, and I was like, I gotta see how they spread this out over three, and I also love more Gandalf the Grey. Gandalf the Grey is amazing.
Absolutely. I just man, I was like, too hokey for me. Why is everything CGI and it just looked fake? And you can tell. I'm sorry, but you could. And the dragon, at first I was like, the dragon talks? What? It kind of pissed me off a little bit, but I understand it's true to the book, true to the story. That was fine. The way it talked wasn't too hokey or anything like that. And the actor, drawing a blank on the name right now, Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah, he does an excellent job. I love the way great. He, twisted the voice a little bit. And, really well done. But at first it's hard for me to like grasp. Okay, this is a giant creature, monster. Yeah, sure, intelligent, but it talks. That's like saying I met an alligator down in Florida. It talked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fair enough. I get that point. That's true. Would you rather have had him do it telekinetic or not? Sorry, like
yeah, I would.
But like with his mind, he would just be like whatever.
Kind of like a telekinetic whatever.
Oh, telepathy. Telepathy. He would just talk to everybody with like that. Would you rather have that?
Wavelength, you kind of picked up the voice or whatever. It made it a little more mystical, not so much of a physical. Yeah. He could speak English.
That's true.
Where did this dragon learn English? Did he like sit in an English class at some?
I don't know. That's a good question. That's an excellent question.
But pretty cool dragon, and for CGI, I thought it was well done. But yeah. The orcs bug me. I don't like CGI orcs. I thought they were so cool in The Lord of the Rings, and they were scarier. I gotta admit, they were freaking scary and all greasy and like blood on them, and the fur and the makeup was just so well done. Money well spent. Great. Money well spent.
Yeah, for sure. And see, it'll hold up, in the future. If you watch that and hopefully within like 20, 30, 40 years, you watch it and you'll be like, man, that's still...
Yeah, because it's real and real things don't change.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not like that. Man. Lord of the Rings. Well, we should just... If we have nothing to talk about sometime, there's a good chance that I'll just tell Joe, I'll be like, we're going to talk about Lord of the Rings. It's basically just going to be us gushing over something for like an hour. But that's one thing Joe and I have definitely the best common ground on. It's like, if you meet someone... If I meet someone and they say they like Lord of the Rings, like the films and stuff, I'm like, all right, I can already tell. I think we're going to get along.
Yeah. So. And topic for another day. But, we got off on that tangent about, practical effects versus CGI. And I think it was a point that needed to be made.
For sure. And I think Star Wars has taken that to heart, and they know that going forward. So that's why we'll still get like CGIs, like those big, tall walker things that you saw in the trailer, or AT-ATs or AT-ATs. And they are going to to be CGI because originally they used to be like little model miniatures that they moved and
Jimmy,
stuff. And it's really
they should be real things. They should build, life-size scale, to scale AT-ATs. I demand it.
I have seen one of those life-size AT-AT down in Disney World.
Okay, yep. Life-size, really? Because those things are pretty damn tall.
This one, okay, I shouldn't say. It's probably like maybe like half. I don't know. It's hard to tell, but it's pretty big. It's over the entrance to Star Tours down in Disney World.
Speaking of, you and I have tossed around the idea of one time getting together, take a trip down there, and I can't think of a better person to tour Disney with. I mean, to show me that sort of stuff, because I didn't see that when I was down there and I was younger. But
oh man, I like just crumpled up right here. I was just like, oh, that'd be so good. It's like a dream. Oh my gosh.
I don't care how old you are. Disney World is always a feast for the mind.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And plus, I've gone down there a lot. Full transparency, but every time I go down there, there would be something different, which I was always really impressed with. They always keep changing. Yeah. And that's what Walt said. He said, we'll never be done building. And it's like, you're right.
Sounds like a construction guy like myself could get a pretty cush job down there. Huh?
Oh, yeah. That's especially with the new Star Wars land and stuff they're all building down there. You'd have plenty of work.
Oh, God, yeah. Marvel.
Oh, my goodness.
Huh?
Oh, the problem... Okay, so I looked this up recently. A little fun fact. Universal right now has the rights to the Marvel characters in the theme parks east of the Mississippi. So if you go to Disneyland, there's like these crazy cool like Avengers meet and greets. Like you can go meet Thor in Odin's throne room and stuff, and it's insane. It looks so good. But in Disney World, they can't right now, and it really bums me out because I'll see these like the trackers, like we talked about the Tim Tracker. He'll go over to Universal, and there'll be like all these Marvel characters roaming about in Universal, and it doesn't feel like it seems like it would have been good for the 90s, but now it's like no. I want you to take it a step further. And Disney, if they ever got the chance, they would make an insane thing for them. So maybe one day Disney will get those rights back to those characters in the parks east of the Mississippi. It's a weird thing, I know. It's just like, come to Minnesota and just build it on the other side of it. I don't care.
It's a very high dollar, what do you want to say? Franchise.
I don't
know. And
everybody
everybody wants a hand
property.
In it.
Everybody, especially now that it's really popular. It's like, oh, you want to go see Captain America? Well, you got to go to Universal.
But
yeah,
back to the Star Wars stuff. More to come on that, huh? I mean, that's early. It's just a little teaser trailer, and we'll have to bring that one up again, and I'll have to get up on my Star Wars trivia, so to speak. So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, if you ever have any questions, you know what I ask. I know a little bit, not a ton, but yeah. So that's Star Wars Rogue One. We'll get back to that eventually. The next thing we want to talk about here today is that they dropped a teaser trailer for Gears of War 4. Now, I'd like to ask you, Joe, what, you don't, again, this is kind of like Star Wars a little bit, where you don't have the best grasp or knowledge about Gears of War. We played it a little in college together, but is there anything you like about it? Is there anything you dislike, or what do you feel about it?
My only memory of it is playing it in college with you. That was my first exposure to the game, and I don't know which version that was. Was that 2 or 3?
That would probably be 3.
Granted, I had fun playing it. Different style of gameplay from what I normally play, which would be like Call of Duty or Titanfall, etc. I'm more of a first-person shooter guy. Recently, I did some of the Division, which is a good game, third person, and I love the aspect of you got to find cover and jump over this and climb that and get behind that cover there. Which I know Gears of War is based on, you gotta find cover and you can jump over things and, tuck and roll to another spot, right? Gears of War, fun game. I haven't dabbled in it much, but after seeing this teaser trailer and looking up some of the gameplay videos from this, intrigued is one way to say it, but I'll definitely be looking it up for sure. So
cool. Well, again, full transparency, I'm quite a big Gears head, and that basically means that I played through Gears 1, 2, 3, and Judgment, and I've even read a few of the novels that they've done for the kind of to fill out and flesh out the backstory of this really fascinating world of Gears, and I'm really excited about this one because it is returning a little bit more to what Gears of War 1 was kind of dabbling with. In Gears of War 1, it was much more, it wasn't survival horror, but there were horror elements and there were darker themes, kind of, and it was just more atmospheric.
See, and Jimmy, you say those words and you wonder, why the hell hasn't Joe played this game? I love the horror stuff and the dark and sinister feeling games, so, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that first game you probably would have enjoyed. And as they kept going because of the success of Gears of War, 2 and then 3 subsequently became more like blockbuster movies in the summer, or like summer blockbuster, I should say. And they got bigger and bigger, and they became less intimate and less kind of character-driven and a little more about like, we need to save the entire planet. And it was still very well done. Like, it's all still really, really good. But now they're moving forward with this new group called the Coalition, who's just going to be like the Gears of War developers. They want to return back to that kind of like intimate, like here's just like not 4-player co-op campaign. It's just like 2-player, and we're going through this kind of dark aftermath of what happened in the Gears of War.
So it's 2-player co-op, Jimmy, campaign?
Yeah. Yes, it is, which is really cool. And it's all, if you wanted to, it is, I think every mode, even multiplayer, I think they said was split screen. I'll have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's what they said, and that's something that even Halo 5, which was kind of controversial at the time, is that they got rid of split screen, which used to be a big draw for most Halo fans, because that's how you played Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4, is like you played with your buddy through the campaign and stuff, and then you do other stuff, like the multiplayer and things like that. But, yeah, so you could play this entire game with a buddy, or an AI, or whatever, and it's pretty cool to me. But I'm just really excited. I've loved Gears of War. I think the third-person cover has never been better in any other game besides Gears. They nail it. There's weight. There's feeling, especially when they added the whole, I can jump over cover towards another guy who's on the other side of like a little wall or whatever and kick him. I love doing that with a shotgun, just blast them. And now you can like even like grab them, pull them over, and stab them in the head, because they've always had these big knives like on their person in the games, but they just never used them. It's like, well, you got a chainsaw gun, so you might as well just use that instead. But I'm so excited about it. So many cool monsters, and it'll be interesting to see where they go now after all the aftermath of the other Gears games.
Hey, anytime you say chainsaw and machine gun combined, I'm down.
Yeah. The Lancer is just, it's just a beautiful work of art. Like every time I pick up a new Gears of War, I was always like, I don't want to do the Lancer again. But it's just so reliable in like pretty much every situation. There are only a few times where it's like, oh, this isn't working for me, but they have
So
some really
that
good
being
weapons.
said, other shooters, third person, first person, whatever, should take a note out of their playbook and give me an assault rifle that has some sort of melee attachment, because that's awesome.
Yeah, besides
I walk
just like
into a tight
bayonet
room
or
and all of a
something.
sudden there's a guy bearing down on me. Wham! Done.
Chainsaw. Yeah, and then in Gears 2, they added the whole chainsaw battle, so if you went up against someone else or another Locust that had a Lancer, then you guys would like lock chainsaws, and then you'd have to hit B really fast, more so than the other, like the AI or the other person, and then you would win the fight. So it was really kind of cool. Like you had like a dueling mechanic in there,
I
which I thought
remember
was
that.
really
Yeah,
neat.
that was fun. Needless to say, when this game's out, I know what we'll be doing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that and I, to your point about first-person shooters and stuff, the one thing I love about third-person shooters and all those types of games that are from a third-person perspective is that, like movies, they feel they're very cinematic.
True.
Like if you pause the game at any moment, you can see like kind of beautiful chaos. Whereas if I pause Call of Duty in the wrong spot, I might just be looking at a wall or something. Be like, there's nothing's going on here.
Yeah, well, back to that little trailer,
really
that teaser trailer. Very cinematic.
Yes.
The disturbed sound of silence coming in. Oh man,
Yeah.
made it really kind of intense. And for anybody who hasn't
Very
seen
atmospheric.
it, they need to check it out. It's good. It kind of piqued my interest quite a bit.
Yeah, the beginning too is really cool because it's just like the sound of like the wind through the trees.
Yeah.
And that's
then
just
it ramps up.
Oh my goodness. And they do a good job of kind of showing our main character in his present day, and at the same time kind of in some ways mirroring the movements, like physical movements that he was using as a child or something like that, and they kind of jump back and forth between it. It's just really well done. It's just like, oh, here we go. I'm ready to go back. I love that the Planet of Sarah. Super good.
Yeah, it's kind of cool that they show a little bit of history. Him as a child, and then he's running up, and then all of a sudden the tree that his name was carved into, or initials or whatever, falls next to him. It was neat. Very neat.
Yeah, and it was really cool to see the two of the main protagonists from the other games kind of get there in a way a happy ending, but clearly something maybe has happened now. But it was nice to see both of them kind of end up together, which we wanted, and to kind of move forward and have a family. And I was like, oh, thank you. Like that was the silver lining to just the horrible tragedies of war that they faced.
War ain't so bad, hey?
No, war is the worst. But yeah, so that's Gears of War 4. It is Nightmare Reborn. That is the name of the trailer. Check it out. Let us know your thoughts, because I'd love to hear what you guys think if you're big Gears fans or whatnot. But we're moving on to something, changing gears, because I like to change gears.
Jimmy, when you said Gears head, I thought you were going to start talking about engines and turbos and transmissions and all that.
Well, you know me, I'm all
I was about to be like, well, dang, now you're speaking my language, guy. Just kidding.
No. This is way better than that. But anyway, we're moving on to the newest Suicide Squad trailer, which is kind of, to me, a shot in the arm for the DC extended universe. But Joe, we just recently rewatched it, and I just kind of want to know what your thoughts are going into this one so far. We have a few months left, but
shot in the arm, huh? Wow.
Yeah, it was an adrenaline shot. It was a shot of adrenaline.
I thought you meant it in a different light.
Oh no, like I would say a shot in the foot if it was
okay.
bad. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It got me a little hyped. As I've said in our other earlier podcasts, I'm a bit of a DC man as opposed to Marvel. Not that I don't like Marvel. I like them both almost equally, but I prefer the more sinister approach that DC takes to things. And I know, Jimmy, you had a comment for this as we talked about it earlier, but when I started watching this latest trailer, I was like, oh yeah, the Joker laughing kind of maniacally. I really like the graphic quality of it, where they do those little snippets of coming in August, and the first part where it's I forget, Warner Bros. Or DC logo there, it's him laughing. I like the kind of clown colors. Really kind of graphically cool, and that laugh just automatically gives you that little bit of a chill with goosebumps. You're like, oh man, kind of. I thought it was sweet. I don't know what you thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing we have to get too into, but what did you think about the little intro?
I like the colors and stuff too. For some odd reason, that laugh seems kind of forced to me, and it's not. It doesn't seem as genuine or as maniacal as I wanted it
Really?
to be. But it'll be good. And I later on in the trailer you hear it again, and in that instance, I thought it played a lot better because it was almost like heralding the Joker and Harley Quinn at that point, or at least they make it seem like she's like this is all happening together, but she's kind of like, uh-oh, like this isn't good. And then they shoot to one shot of him walking out of a place, and it seems like the Joker that make him like he's a big player in this whole thing, which I'm excited about because I do want to see another Joker. Heath Ledger did a great job. I still prefer the voice of Mark Hamill, which is weird, but I still really like him. But I'd like to see someone else bring something new to the table. And let's move forward with the Joker. Don't just put him on a shelf and leave him to
Yeah,
collect
okay,
dust.
when you
Come on.
think of major DC villains, who's the first guy that pops into your mind?
I'd have to probably be Joker.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
hard not to. Besides him and like maybe Lex Luthor, but Joker's just like the epitome of villainy.
Yeah,
in the DC
unpredictable and crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And he doesn't. The best thing too is that he has gotten the chance, I think, a few times to either kind of show off Batman's identity or kill him, but he doesn't want to. He's like, why would I take away the most fun thing in my life? And that's one thing as a villain, as someone who appreciates villains a lot, I'm like, I love it because every other villain pretty much, like the big time villains, like just want to kill the person that's against them. But Joker's like, no, this is a good thing. Let's
Joker's
keep this going.
like that giant tomcat that's playing with the ball of yarn, you know? And yeah, if that doesn't make you think the Joker belongs in a straitjacket, I don't know what will. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially when you bring up cats.
So yeah, getting back into the trailer though, yeah, that was a good start to it. It really gets you it gives you that goosebumpy feeling. You're like, oh man, you know, it gets you really set up for what's to come in the trailer. And the characters that are in the Suicide Squad, do I have any complaints about who's featured in there? I don't think so. I think it's a pretty good crew.
Okay.
Killer Croc, right?
Yeah.
They do a good job with him. He looks cool. Not too outlandish like in the Spider-Man movies where there's that crocodile, whatever.
Oh, you're talking about the lizard.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, they just messed that up. They didn't even make him have a snout. It's like, what, he's supposed to be a lizard.
Whatever.
Anyway,
so as long as they don't do something stupid like that, I think he looks really ominous and he doesn't look too outlandish, which is perfect.
Yeah, I think he's gonna. I just want to keep comparing this to Guardians of the Galaxy because that's what it feels like for the DC universe. He's kind of like their Groot.
Sure.
He's kind of like their weird offshot guy who's like pretty powerful. Might not talk a ton, but has his moments.
Yeah. He's the only one that I look at and take a second look, maybe a second guess, whatever. But I think they did a good job with him as far as, you know, features-wise, physical features and everything. We'll see how he plays in the movie, but no complaints thus far in what he's been featured in trailer-wise. They try to make this trailer a little more fun, don't they, with the music that they feature?
Yeah, well, the other trailer right before this was that Bohemian Rhapsody one.
You know, that's fine. I think it's appropriate because it's going to be kind of... I mean, these guys are like the baddest of the bad doing good things, I guess, or supposed good things, but it's kind of... Which is crazy in itself, right? So it's kind of to have that bit of a joking kind of style is fine.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it plays well for the trailer and the way things play out throughout it. I don't know. Jimmy, expand on your thoughts overall. I'm trying to think of other things, but...
Well, I think that it is really going for this kind of fun time vibe, which is something that the DC universe, in my humble opinion, sorely needs, because with their other two films that they have now, Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, or BVS DOJ, is they're kind of down, they're kind of dour, they're kind of depressing in a lot of ways. They're not really fun, and unfortunately they take some of our favorite comic book heroes and there's like a hint sometimes of like they want it to be realistic, but they take someone like Superman, which, Joe and I both like, but they've kind of made him not a shining beacon of hope that he's
Well,
supposed
I
to be.
think they're
So
setting it up to go that direction, but as of now, it's
maybe,
real gritty and dark, which I'm
yeah,
okay
which
with. But
I know
you're
like.
right.
Yeah,
Eventually, he needs to be that shining beacon, more hope, and maybe shown in a brighter light in multiple aspects. I
exactly.
guess you would say.
And one thing, even though I do like, to some extent, both of those films, I wouldn't say that I was like thoroughly entertained with either of them. They're okay, but this movie right now seems to bring a lot of what I like in these type of comic book heroes, especially, or villains, I should say, and when they don't care as much. Guardians of the Galaxy style, where it's kind of like, we're gonna have fun. This is gonna be an entertaining show, regardless if you think it's like an excellent movie, an astounding movie, or if you think it's just crap. You're still gonna have a good time, which I'm excited about because that's something I think DC needs to have. They need to have that kind of, the balance between like the depressing, like, end of the world stuff with whatever this is going to be. This might be kind of end of the world stuff potentially, but it looks like they're going to have a good time while they're doing it. And I also really like to see the interactions between all the cast members, because that's something that's huge. That's something we didn't get enough of.
Oh, it's a pretty stellar lineup,
Batman
isn't
versus...
it?
Yeah, exactly. But in Batman vs Superman, we didn't really get a lot of fun interchanges between like Wonder Woman and Batman and Superman. That's the stuff we love, or that's the stuff I love. Like in Avengers, that's one thing Whedon really nails, that even if they're all just sitting in a room together, it's entertaining. It's like, yeah, we're gonna have like a little strength test. Let's see who can lift up Thor's hammer.
Oh yeah, I forget
watch.
about that.
Like,
that was a big highlight for me. I thought that was so much fun. That's the thing about when you add humor into a movie, regardless of if it's very gritty and dark, like Beavers. What? Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Regardless of if it's dark and gritty like that, or if it's it's still gritty in Marvel and everything, but when they mix in that humor like that and those people just interacting in a non-stressful environment, it adds a sense of realism to it, and grounds it more in reality. True. Like if you and I were super powered and just hanging out one time. That's the kind of stuff that goes on, right? They're normal people. Well, not normal people, but they're people too, And so that there's something to be said for that, and I think that's well done on Marvel's part. And you're right. I think DC needs to mix that in a little bit more with their movies. I think they'll get there. I mean, it's going to start out dark like that, and I think it needs to build up a bit more to where there's a rapport between these characters. They're just getting to know each other at this point now, too. So those things will come, and I hope they start to build those into the movies more. The more humorous moments.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I think, that kind of showcasing that like barroom scene that they have in this trailer for Suicide Squad is kind of fun, where it's like they're all talking about what they're gonna have to drink, and they kind of are having like little moments, and it's kind of like, this is good. You need to have this, because the only way we're gonna care about villains in the first place is if we can slightly relate to them. And if they have some sort of kind of connection to one another, that kind of shows their motivation. If, like, let's say if one of them gets in trouble, why would I try to help out another villain in trouble if I'm a bad guy? It's like, oh, we had a moment back there where we kind of talked about some bad things we've done in the past, and I kind of relate to this person now, so I'm going to go try to save them.
I mean, they may be bad people, villains, people that you would rather see dead if you're on the other side of the fence. But when it comes down to it, if they break it down in that sense and they interact intimately like that, it shows you that they're people too. It keeps it grounded, and it makes you care for them a bit. It makes you realize, okay, maybe they're not so bad. So
yeah, that's true. Well, I'm excited about this. I think it was just, the Bohemian Rhapsody one, that's fine. And I kind of would like to talk about the music choice. In this one, they play two different songs. I forget what the first one is. It's a little bit slower, but they play Ballroom Blitz, which is a song that I just like. So it's hard sometimes to say, like, I like this trailer, as opposed to I like the song and that goes well with the trailer kind of thing. So I think it fits really well. It's kind of like this, that song is kind of chaotic, and it's kind of, there's a lot of action to it, and I thought it played in really well with this, and I was like, this fits, for me, it fits really, really well, regardless of what the song is, what the meaning, the true
and
meaning
you
of the song
said a word
might be.
there that I think should be driven home when speaking about this movie. Chaotic. Another one.
Yes.
Maniacal. And
For
then those two things mixed together, I hope it's just a feast for the eyes.
Yeah, exactly. I hope
granted,
so too.
I want to think a little bit. We want to get involved with the characters, etc. But it looks like it's going to be chaotic and fast-paced. I loved it. Especially when you have the Joker involved. You have, oh God, I'm drawing a blank tonight. It starts with an H. What's her name? Dang it.
Think of like a very popular motorcycle.
Harley Quinn. Thank God.
There you go.
I'm not.
I wanted to help him get there, guys. This is how we do
sometimes
stuff.
I need a little push, It's been a long day.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
I get that.
I mean, come on. Joker, Harley Quinn, and then all these villains. I mean, come on. It's got to be chaotic, maniacal, fast-paced, and just crazy, off the wall. That's what I want to see. And I think we'll get that. The Joker, from what I've seen thus far, I'm pretty amped to see him. A little bit of a different take on him from what I can tell thus far, which I like. Another thing. Who are they fighting against, or who are they pitting them against?
So right now, the one of the running theories that I've heard is that Enchantress, that kind of creepy looking like witch ring lady, is the bad guy.
I was gonna bring that up because I saw her in the trailer. She's got kind of like a black aura around her, kind of black, white, and gray looking. That's gonna be who they're kind of going after.
I'm not exactly sure, and that's one of my things I was going to bring up with you too, Joe, is that do you think that they might be throwing too many different weird elements into this, whereas like the other ones are like, all right, we're kind of used to like Kryptonians and like Superman and maybe Doomsday and Wonder Woman to some extent who can like do these special things, but we haven't really seen magic, and we haven't really seen this kind of crazy, like, that pyro guy is like shooting flames out of his hands.
Yeah.
And as a person that comes from Earth, I just don't know if they'll be able to explain everybody quickly or as much as they need to make it, I don't know, to understand it, or just to be like, okay, that makes sense.
I'm anticipating that in the introduction of these characters, they're going to do some sort of a breakdown, a profile of each one. Like, this is a candidate, and this is the team I want to create. This guy's got this ability, all in all, deadly combination. We make them do what we want, and if they screw up, we throw them under the bus,
Yeah, exactly.
And what do they call her? Oh, God. Amanda Waller. What, the White Queen or Red Queen?
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. But yeah, for the most part, they just call her.
Well, anyway, so I think that they got to do some sort of breakdown or introduction to them, almost like a profile type thing, when maybe she's pitching this idea in front of a board of people or something like that. So I anticipate they'll do something of that nature, but who knows?
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to show off a lot of backstories. Obviously, they have to. And
they gotta get you invested.
I'm thinking, we do see a lot of Batman in this trailer, and my
next
thought
Jimmy.
is that it's. I was just gonna say, like, my worry here is, and I'm gonna call it right now. This is my worry, is that along with this kind of Joker Harley thing and fleshing out Batman, I kind of wish we would have gotten a Batman that was before this Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, BVS DOJ, and it could have shown all these three characters or whatever, and it would be a better segue into this, so they don't feel like they need to spend 20 minutes on Joker / Harley, which they'll probably spend a lot of time on doing a backstory for. I would be surprised if they didn't.
So here's an idea. So we see Batman in here, which, thank God. At first I was under the impression that he wasn't going to be in the mix. I was like,
Oh no, I think a while like the first one you see, he's like on the top of the Joker's
Yeah.
Lamborghini or whatever, and it's like, oh, is he gonna make a little appearance? I think it's gonna be in that flashback or whatever, but he'll play a small role.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Not to mention that Lamborghini. Is that what it was? I wonder. I don't know, but it was
think
like
so.
purple
Maybe, I don't know.
chrome.
Purple,
Big
yeah.
old V10 in there, twin turbo. I tell you what, give her,
Yeah, that's what
give her
Joker said.
hell. You. Anywho, Joker's got good taste, I guess, minus the purple chrome. Yeah. So Batman. Who's to say that this doesn't take place before the Batman Superman scuffle?
I'm hoping.
Notice
that it
how they
does,
talk
and
about who's going to stop
Yeah.
Superman. He has the power to jump into the White House and take the president. Who would stop him then? You know, maybe this is prior to the Batman-Superman conflict.
Yeah, or it could be after, and they're just saying that, like, after that, you know, I don't know if anyone would have seen the Batman fight, but they would have known about the Doomsday fight. You know, there's no way you could not know about that. But I don't know exactly. That's true. And it would be nice. Hopefully this will tie into the fact that whatever happened with Joker and Batman back in the day. Maybe that's why Batman's on just a crazy rampage and killing spree now. And he's okay with it. He's just like, screw it, I'm killing everybody.
Hey, which is awesome.
So,
I think it's got to happen for the situations he's put in. Otherwise, let's face it, Batman would be dead by now. But
that is debatable. But keep going.
but, you know, man, I've got so many thoughts running through my brain on this one right now. It's crazy. But
that's okay.
Yeah, Batman. I don't know. I gotta take a moment and collect my thoughts, to be honest, because
That's fine. I can tell you something that I even if they don't show him in a trailer, I still want him to come up. I'm gonna keep fighting for this. I want Deathstroke. I don't care how he shows up. I want
Amen,
Deathstroke.
brother.
That's the one thing I want. He's not always in the Suicide Squad. I get that. But I want him there so badly because he's just so great. I mean, especially, you know what? Even make him an older Deathstroke like he normally is. If he's kind of like an older guy and he's still just destroying people, that's
I'm all
even
about
better.
it.
I don't even care. Just please, DC, for me, just do it. Like, you won't regret it. And then maybe make a spin-off film. You won't do that, but I can dream. You know? Make an R-rated Deathstroke film. It'll be great. I'll see it like 5 times.
Buddy.
There you go. Oh, man.
Yeah. Oh, you know, one of the thoughts I had
think?
rolling around in my head is, okay, how do they figure... So this team they assemble, they think, okay, we could use them to stop Superman if we had to?
I don't know if that's it. Yeah, I was going to say that's the thing, too, is like none of them... There are like a few on the team that seem like they could be like okay to take out most people, but most of them are just like weird people. Like Harley Quinn, that's one thing that's weird to me. She's just a fan favorite. She doesn't really have any superpowers. She's just like a chick with a gun and a baseball bat.
Crazy. Good at, moving around.
Yeah, I
Probably has some fighting skill, obviously, and whatnot. She's talented, but not superpowered by any means. The only way these people are any force for Superman to reckon with is if they've got kryptonite weapons galore and stuff like that. There's something to be said for that. I mean, come on, Deadshot, from a distance, put a kryptonite bullet in Superman,
That's
whatever,
true.
stuff like that. So arguments can be made, but they talk about Superman, who would stop him. He has the power to do whatever he wants. And like they kind of form this team based on that thought, among others, maybe. But I don't know, grasping at straws.
Maybe it's more of like it's a field test, maybe, and they're like, let's see what we can do if we take villains and we put like explosives in their necks and we make them go and do stuff for us. Let's see if that's even a viable option. So that way, one day when we potentially get a villain who is very, very powerful, we can like inject him and say like, all right, you are our trump card against Superman in case he ever goes off the rails. So maybe that's what this is, because it's obviously this isn't like a Superman kill squad. Like they wouldn't last a second with him. Like unless Enchantress is on the team, he is susceptible to magic and electricity, but they don't know that, so they'd probably all die very quickly. Like they wouldn't stand a chance. He would just look at him.
Not to mention the speed factor. I mean, come on, how do you compete?
Yeah, the
with
speed's
that?
he's insanely fast.
Yeah. Hey, we could go
He's
on
too
and on about
fast.
that stuff for hours,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, Suicide Squad trailer looks good. I'm excited. sounds like you're excited-ish too,
Oh,
maybe?
not ish. I'm
If you
very
will,
excited.
excited-ish.
I like the fact that they're giving the villains their day. And
Yeah.
Suicide Squad, everybody knows about it. Yeah, it's been around, but villains deserve the spotlight too. And you wouldn't have the heroes without the villains. And half the time, if not more, 75% of the time, the villains are sometimes more interesting than the hero.
Oh, yeah,
And,
for sure. Yeah, especially if you make them empathetic and stuff like that, too. That's how the best villains are
Yep.
made. That's like, I think Magneto is one of the best villains because you completely understand everything he's about. He's like, yeah, I've been persecuted against my entire life since I was a little Jewish boy over in Germany, and now as a mutant, and then you're like, yeah, I get why you want to kill us all. Like, I get that. It's completely understandable.
For sure.
So, yeah. Well, and I hope, too, that it does well enough where Marvel, who's one of the biggest criticisms levied against them, and I completely agree with, is that they don't have a ton of really fascinating villains like DC. DC's got way better villains on average than Marvel does. So my hope is that one day they'd move forward with something similar to it, maybe like a Sinister Six film, which they talked about doing at Sony for a while ago. But for anyone who might not know, it's just a bunch of like Spider-Man villains that team up. But instead of doing like a Suicide Squad work for the government thing, I think it would be fascinating to do Sinister Six film or any villain film, and you make the hero like Spider-Man is the villain, and you have the perspective of the villains, so you think like, oh man, yeah, I get why they hate Spider-Man now. Like I get why they want to kill him. That would be really cool. Like Spidey's the villain. Like that would be so weird to see.
Guys, too great. Happy. Anybody that happy deserves to die. I'm jealous.
Exactly. It's like, how dare you? Look at him swinging around, whipping
laughing
here and there,
and saving girls and kissing them and shit. I tell ya.
Yeah, here's your little quip, buddy. Oh man, but I would love to see that. So hopefully it does well either way, because, like I said in the last one, I think it was the last one, I want DC and Marvel to just do so well. Yeah. Please, because then it just makes each other just do even
Absolutely.
better.
We love it all. You can't not like it. Granted, there's a dud once in a while, but as of recently,
oh for sure,
no complaints. I love it all. If there's one coming out, I'm on it. Good. To the theater I go.
Yeah, even like some of the ones, like some of the Marvel ones that aren't like Iron Man 3 or like Thor: The Dark World, it's like they're not amazing, but they're still like pretty good. Like they're still like
still entertaining enough that I really enjoyed the theater experience, and maybe give her another watch down the road. But
yeah, they're quality products.
Yeah,
for the
and they're all
part.
build up to the big ones, the Avengers movies, etc.
Oh, yeah.
That's the cherry on top of the sundae, so to speak. So.
Exactly, and I hope DC takes that to heart when they go forward and they kind of do standalones.
And let's face it, the people behind the DC franchise getting these movies together and all that, they're not idiots. They're going somewhere with it. You can't criticize the hell out of them. They'll
Oh, yes, we can.
Okay,
that's what I'm doing, Joe. That's
critical
my job
reviews.
To do
we review it critically, but there's smart people behind these movies. They're going to take it in a direction that works one way or another. Not everybody's going to be happy about it, but everybody has their own take. But these teams that are behind these movies are, they're putting a lot of effort into it, and they got a goal in mind, so they got to achieve it one way or another, and they'll make it work.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that is our thoughts on the most recent Suicide Squad trailer. Again, like with any of these things we talk about, please let us know your thoughts too below in the comment section, or you can tweet at us or whatnot, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, we have one last thing we want to talk about here, and that is a little game called Titanfall 2.
Dun dun dun!
Joe and I, it's like Joe and I, we like this game. We like it enough that we might have bought it on both the 360 and the Xbox
that's right. I
One.
bought it twice.
I think
what up?
But in both cases, I think they were pretty discounted. I think I got mine on Xbox One for like $8 at Best Buy one day. I was like, sweet, yeah, I'll pick that up. And it was the better version. It was like the version of the game.
Yeah, whatever. Worth every
Not that the
penny.
361 was a slouch. It was still good. Anyway, we've been waiting for this game for a bit. I'm working on a video currently that talks about all the things I wanted, and they even address one of the things directly in this little teaser trailer for Titanfall 2, which, with all these things, you really do need to go see those and then watch, listen to us. I should say not watch us. But anyway, Titanfall 2, the big thing that really came out of this is just obviously the announcement that it's coming, and they're going to reveal more in June. But for Joe and myself, as maybe sad as this might seem, but it's a big deal to us, is that they do show a Titan put a weapon down, and not just
what is it, Jimmy?
weapon.
What is it? Lay it down. I can't wait any longer.
It's a sword. It's a
what?
It's a sword. It's a sword. It's a metal sword, and it might be like pulsing with electricity. I don't know, but anyway, he slams it in the ground, and I'm like, yes, melee weapons. Thank you so much, because one of my complaints with the old one is that for a ranged game, like a ranged first-person shooter, obviously, because there's those melee first-person shooters. Anyway, you get in punching fights with your Titan a lot. A lot of the time, I would think it'd be a lot better if I had a weapon that I could pull out right now and like slice this guy in half. And now I might just be able to do that. I don't know the extent of how powerful these melee weapons are, but I have to assume that they're they're decently strong.
So what perk do you want to equip your Titan with? You want big punch or do you want the sword?
Yeah, exactly.
Sword?
Yeah. Oh. Sword every time. Forget big punch. I never like that. Let's do sword, axe, spear, heated mace. I mean, you can go like a katana if you wanted to. Like if you want to get
Either way,
sweet.
Though, it works kind of in the same way as one of the other perks you can choose from, such as big punch or like a rocket sablo. Instead, you have a spear or a sword, etc.
Yeah, just like take it out and just like, or maybe you would trade out like your secondary thing, or even maybe your main weapon if it's that powerful.
Oh yeah, then it's all close quarters combat. Sure. That's the thing, a sword, is it going to be made that powerful? I mean, do you run up to a guy, you slice him once, and he's dead? I would think it'd have to be kind of a build-up, like you got to hit him 3 times or something to knock him down.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, it'd be a little cheap.
But think it, Joe, with your Strider class, you got a katana, and you're dashing up towards the guy. You like hit him once, twice, and then you just run the Titan through and stab the pilot inside with it. And then like slowly draw it out.
Oh yeah, and that's what's awesome about Titanfall. You get those, little cinematic, lethal kills where you bust into the cockpit and rip the guy out and smash him in your hand. Okay, that with the sword through the cockpit, rip him out with the sword, and freaking kick him off with your foot or something.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm so excited because that just right there, it just shows that they, that's something that probably other people were craving for too, and they're like, "Yep, here it is." So, good on you already, Titanfall. I'm so excited. I'm excited to work on that video too. Hopefully, that'll come out in a couple of weeks, and then I can talk about all the things I want. Just because I'm needy that
super way. Pumped for this game, man, and I'm hoping that their little announcement in June is the game will be releasing on June 22nd, Joe's birthday. Yeah.
For Joe's birthday. I doubt they'll do that. What I'm guessing, like I said, it might be a bold move, but I'm kind of hoping they launch roughly at the same time as this newest Call of Duty, because this newest Call of Duty we don't know a lot about. Yes, we talked about last week, so if you haven't listened to that, check that out after this about COD in space, or what we want is COD of the West, or Call of the West, I should say. But I think this would be an excellent time to launch around that same time, that holiday season, because whatever this next Call of Duty is, it won't be this Treyarch Black Ops 3 that they'd have to compete with, which is one that's been kind of lauded as a great game. People really, really enjoy it.
Treyarch front runner in the Call of Duty making.
They know what to do. It's that secret sauce. I don't know what they're doing, but they're willing to share it with everybody.
Just like Mickey D's and those Big Macs, baby.
Exactly. It's the same thing, basically. They just poured it all over their consoles, and they're like, there it is. But the thing with Titanfall is that this would be an excellent time to potentially release it when they would be afraid to. Like Halo 5 came out last October, I believe, and then Call of Duty, I think, came out in November or something like that. If they release this one this year at that time, they wouldn't have to compete with anybody besides Call of Duty. Call of Duty is still going to sell super duper well, but this would be a good time to get out in front and say like, hey, we're Titanfall, we're back, check it out. This is going to be different than anything you're going to get with Call of Duty. Unless for somebody, I heard some like Call of Duty's like introducing mech suits. I'd be like, no,
damn it, Call of Duty,
no, don't do it. They just merge into one game. It's like Call of Titan, and you're like, oh, I guess, sure. Like,
I'd buy it.
But yeah, we probably would not buy it.
I'm interested to know why you think they should go against Call of Duty, because I think about it, okay, financial numbers, they're looking at it like, okay, why would we compete with people who are like, oh, do I do Titanfall or do I do Call of Duty? I'm so torn. $60. I don't know. I feel like for me, looking at it from a business standpoint, I'd be like, nope, we got to release in August or, September sometime. Get a couple months up on Call of Duty and see those numbers roll in, as opposed to, kind of lost a bit because Call of Duty was real popular. Or, this other developer for Call of Duty, they nailed it this time and word got out.
Yeah, and they might still do that. They might release it earlier than that. My only thought, Joe, is that releasing it in this timetable from like late September into November, when that holiday season kicks in, they want people, they want parents, they want everyone to be walking around the store and see this brand new like kiosk that is like, oh, look at this, like Titanfall. Like, oh, what's this? This is different than like the Call of Duty one over there or whatever. They want to be prominent at that time of the year. And without Halo being there and with the Call of Duty that we're not really sure about yet, they might have a chance to make it big.
Well, now with where the consoles are at and everything, Xbox One, PS4, and all that, you're not on the old 360. I never saw a lot of marketing done for the first Titanfall. I think what they need to do for this one is they need to be creative in how they market it. If they're going to do any competition with Call of Duty and release around the same time frame, or any other game of that caliber for that matter, I think their marketing has to be grade A. Come out with a crafty trailer, or get some sort of star-studded trailer to come out. Like Call of Duty does those like live action role playing where freaking Tom Cruise running around with a machine gun, etc.
They have Tom Cruise?
I don't know. Yeah, they had somebody in there, whatever. Clearly, I don't recall, but I watched the trailer quite a few times. Anyway, they need to get creative and do something like that. That's what really piques interest in people. Like, oh man, that looks awesome. That guy just jumped out of a full freaking mech suit the size of a freaking building. I want it. Get creative with your marketing. Marketing it's numero uno when it comes to getting the exposure you need and making the money. And obviously we expect a great game in return, but it plays a big role in the success of the game, and Call of Duty has seen that. And I think Titanfall is well worth the investment. So
yeah, well, I get you do make a great point. Be creative, but I hope they don't do something like Call of Duty, because Call of Duty now has kind of cornered the market on like anyone can be a Call of Duty player. So they get like these big name stars and then just like, oh, like a guy who runs a deli and they're all just shooting and killing people.
Yeah.
Don't go that route. Don't get like some like, A-list celebrity. You don't need that. You're better than that. Think of something crafty and interesting. Like they did this one like for the original Titanfall where they had like this, I forget what song they're playing, but it was like this guy's shadow, basically. And so like the Titan was following him around during his regular day. And they saw another guy who had a Titan behind him, and it like they both picked up their person and put them inside the Titan, and then they both like went off to fight each other. I was like, oh, it's kind of an interesting like, like it's my shadow, and that's that's who was always behind me. And so I'm always thinking about it's like in the back of my mind the whole time.
You might have a career in marketing yet, cool. Jimmy. Yeah. You're right, though. It needs to differentiate itself from Call of Duty marketing-wise as well as game-wise, etc. And the game it's different. Yeah. As far as the gameplay goes, it's seamless, fluid. We both loved it. Sometimes I even prefer it to Call of Duty. It's just so fluid and just free-flowing and fun. But back to that marketing idea. I love that. My shadow or whatever. Or like some guy's like, babe, I'm late for work, and he runs out the door. She throws him his lunch, and he's getting into his Titan mech suit and freaking just like blasting it across the highway or something, Well,
we should find that old trailer for you, Joe, so you can see it, because it's a decent one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm excited about this game. I hope they're if they're talking about announcing or showing a bunch on like June 12th, which is, I don't know if that's right at E3 or right before E3. I think it's right before E3 to show it off. So I'm guessing that means that it'll be playable in June over there at E3, like demos and stuff. You could try out the game and stuff like that. So they'll probably show off a lot of gameplay. I wouldn't be surprised to see this covered in one of the conferences, if it's like Sony gets it or Microsoft gets it or whatever. So we'll see. Because last time it was a Microsoft exclusive. Now it's going to be on multiple. So it spreads the word. Yeah, exactly.
And can't wait for the beta.
Yeah, I can't wait for that beta. It's gonna.
Yeah,
Oh man,
well,
I'm so excited about
Jimmy,
it, Joe.
we played a lot of Titanfall 1, and of course it's gonna, Titanfall 2, follow in the footsteps of it, change it up a little bit, make it a little more engaging for people. But we've played a lot of it. You've got a lot of Twitch streams on that, and maybe we'll have to bust it out and blow off the dust on that disc a little bit and play it. But did you have any YouTube videos on that in the past? I thought you did.
Not yet. Like I said, I've been working on one right now. I worked on one a long time ago on my laptop, but I've since changed over to my PC that I built. So I'm working on one that's like it's my Titanfall 2 wish list, and one of the things on there is melee weapons. I think I'll still keep that part and just say that they put it in there, but these are the other weapons I still want to see. But I have a whole bunch of things they can do better. The game is still the first game was solid, and I think they can build off that foundation and make something really, really great. And I loved it. It was
something that people always think about first-person shooters is when I'm playing the online multiplayer, I want cool maps, cool guns, etc. Titanfall 1 hit it home with the maps. I loved all their maps. There was maybe one or two where I was like, oh, this one. But that's with any first-person shooter. But they hit it home with their maps. I like them a lot. The one thing, and I know you'll probably speak to this in your wish list, are the weapon choices. Call of Duty, that's something I've always loved, is the amount of customization options you have for your weaponry. If Titanfall could incorporate that a little more, maybe have a broader range of weapons to choose from, I'd love it. Love it. Probably prefer it to Call of Duty if they did some more of that. Because that just makes it so much more fun, being able to change it up and kind of hit the refresh button, So,
yeah. And that's the thing, too, about the first Titanfall. Maybe we loved it so much because it was fresh and the ability to have a Titan was so new. Hopefully they can take that and still make something new and fresh along with the stuff we already loved in the last one.
Hopefully new Titan ideas. Obviously, you have the fast pace, and then you have the kind of go-to medium. And you got the large guy, high armor, the ogre.
Strider, Atlas ogre. Yeah.
So, expand on that a bit. Maybe you got some other outliers there that are different abilities and perks to go along with them. Obviously, that would really change it up and make it even more fun. Having only 3 to choose from can get a little stale after a while. So adding some more choices, who doesn't love that? Makes me drool a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited about it. Well, there you go. Titanfall 2, and obviously we talked about before, Star Wars Rogue One, Gears of War 4, Suicide Squad, Titanfall 2, all these things. We got so much stuff. I was like, I'm not sure we'll have a lot to talk about this time, but we had plenty to talk about.
I tell you, that some of the stuff that's coming out for our generation, in particular, we constantly want to have our senses, we want to feast for the senses at all times. No patience. We want it all. Gimme, gimme, gimme. And I tell you what, they keep feeding it out, and there's some good stuff on the forefront, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now we're going to transition into a little section of the show that I like to call Time Killers. So Time Killers, because I did it for Joe right there. I did my demon voice. Because
if you didn't do it, I was going to do it.
Yeah, he was gonna, and it would be weird. But it's kind of like what we're watching, what games we might be playing, other things we like to look down the internet. But Joe, what you and I, we watched something recently, like last night. What do you want to talk about that show?
Oh, yeah, that was an interesting one, wasn't it? Netflix originals, man, they're hitting it home and doing a good job. I like some of the stuff I'm seeing from Netflix. Daredevil, Jessica Jones, all that. We watched Between. Just
I think that's Between. What it is.
Yeah. That's all it's called. And hey, sparked my interest, man. At first, I read the little plot line to it, and the summary, and I was like, "What? Really? Sounds kind of weird." But hey, we were kind of desperate, searching for something to watch and talk about, and hey, my interest is piqued, and I'm probably gonna watch an episode tonight. It was cool and graphic, gritty, kind of dark. Really got my attention.
I know you're really into it. I'm still kind of lukewarm on it. I'm still kind of waiting for the turn or whatever that makes it really fascinating to me. Because right now it's just kind of, it's plotting a little bit. There's only 6 episodes of it, and I'm still waiting to see like what, like, because I really don't care about any of the characters yet. There's just kind of been like, that's one thing that really usually draws me into a show, makes me keep watching. Is like, I'm like, oh man, I want to see where this
There
goes.
has to be some sort of turning point
like,
that really gets you invested. So far, it's just somewhat entertaining to me. So I'd have to agree with you. I'm still lukewarm on it too. But like I said, interest is peaked, so I want to keep watching a little bit to see what happens and where that turning point is, to where I'm like, oh man, what's going to happen next, you know? So they've hooked me. I'm fighting a bit, but they might reel me in yet. So
yeah, well, and speaking of turning points, the second season of Turn is up now on Netflix, which I haven't watched any of it yet. I watched the first season, and it is about a cabbage farmer in the Revolutionary War who gets kind of brought in on the side of the rebels, or the colonials or whatnot, whatever you like to call them. And it's kind of cool. It's really fun to see this guy be a spy, basically living in this British controlled area for Washington and stuff like that. And the first season was really good, and I'm excited to see where it goes next. So along with that, I've also been watching, and this is really crazy, I really love Boy Meets World. And the second season of Girl Meets World, which is definitely not catered. I'm not the demographic for it, but on this show, I will tell you guys this, because Joe and I watch some things that might not be catered to us specifically. But regardless of the demographic, if you enjoy it, it's an entertainment to you, within reason, obviously, then you should love it, whatever it is. But I've been watching Girl Meets World, and they've really brought back, in this season specifically, a ton of characters from the original show. And it warms my heart. I mean, they had Mr. Feeney back. I mean, Feeney. I don't know, Joe, did you ever watch Boy Meets World when you were younger?
I caught an episode or two, but when I was younger, I didn't necessarily watch a lot of TV. I don't know why. I just wasn't on the up and up on, what was good to watch, I guess. But
that's okay. But it's endearing to me because they do cutbacks to the old show, and they kind of integrate it into the life of the main protagonist's child, and it's just really cool to see all these characters kind of come back like 15 years later, and it is so good to me. Plus Will Friedle, I think that's how you say his name, Eric, who's the Corey Matthews brother, who's like this crazy hilarious guy. I laughed more in one episode with him back than I did for the entirety of that 10-part series of The Ranch with Ashton Kutcher and Danny Masterson.
Wow.
It was so good.
I gotta watch The Ranch, and then I want to see this show Turn that you're talking about, historical based. I think that's cool.
Yeah, we should watch that one, Joe.
So speaking of shows like that have made a comeback, and the one I'm about to bring up hasn't, but kind of runs in the same lines as those shows. Home Improvement. I was a big Tim Allen guy watching that show.
Oh, yeah. Well, you should watch, I think Last Man Standing is like the sitcom that he's a part of now that's been doing really well. And there's a few seasons on Netflix. I watched like 1 or 2 episodes. It's all right, but it's nice to see Tim Allen back. I think he really nails the whole sitcom dad thing.
I've always been a Tim Allen fan, Santa Claus and all that. But you're saying that's on Netflix?
We'll see, maybe one day. Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can give that a shot. The nice thing about having a sitcom, that's for anybody watching too, it's like if you have a drama you really like to watch on a Netflix or streaming service of whatever kind, I recommend at the same time you get into a long-standing sitcom. And it's because, for me, I usually like to watch this stuff before I go to sleep. I like to kind of cleanse my palate after something intense. Like if you're watching a Breaking Bad or Blacklist or something, and you just saw some really messed up stuff, maybe you should just take like 25 minutes and go to a place where people laugh for you. You know what I mean? Like, and just kind of
something where you don't have
to
think so much, something where you can relax and just kind of unwind and not get so invested into it. And, it's kind of always there. It's kind of refreshing and not stressful, etc.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and if you have a bunch of cookies and a glass of milk by your side too, that helps. That helps, I think. I don't know. Maybe that's just
more of
me.
a cup of tea kind of guy. But yeah, sure.
Well, I don't want to be stimulated before I go to bed. I want to fill up and then sleep on my fat stomach.
Tea relaxes me and kind of puts me to bed. Some people, it wakes them up, but whatever. Either way.
Fair enough. It depends on the tea, maybe. I don't know.
So whatever your cup of tea is, that's what you reach for.
Look at Joe over here, everybody. That's pretty good. Look at we're getting so good at this. But yeah, that's what we're watching. We're basically playing the same stuff we were before, so that's really nothing
Nothing
crazy or new. I'm still just playing Heroes of the Storm or whatnot, and yeah, those are our.
Well, I got another time killer, Jimmy.
Killer. Oh,
For
well, you got another one. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Time killers. Anyway.
There you go.
So for people that don't know, I'm a construction guy. I work for a general contracting company as a project manager, and so I get into the construction stuff now again, hence home improvement. Anyway,
there you go.
Fixer Upper, new show on TV. It's got a couple seasons in, and they do these home remodels. And people think, oh, it's just another DIY HGTV show, whatever, boring, dumb. But man, for anybody that likes design or getting cool ideas for their apartment, home, bedroom, wherever you may live, those shows are interesting. I love watching them and getting these cool design ideas and tips on how to do them. Who doesn't love that? And seeing the finished products that they produce are just awe-inspiring. I love that stuff. So for anybody out there that likes the DIY stuff and design, check that out because it's cool and entertaining. This couple on the show, they do a good job really hitting it home and kind of keeping you engaged. So
fair enough.
Yeah. Fixer Upper.
Well, there you go. Those are all of the time killers we have for this week. Also, we talk about all that stuff we talked about before to go check out and let us know about what your thoughts are on all those trailers and things like that. But if you have any time killers of your own that you're like, guys, you gotta watch.
Check this out.
It's so good. We love if you guys have something you're just like, I want to talk about with somebody, or you want us to talk about it on another show. Maybe if we don't have a lot of crazy cool time killers on some episodes, we might take yours and say like, hey, Frank from wherever, he really is digging this show, and he'd be like, yeah, so we kind of watched a little bit of it and we'll give you our take. Or maybe we've seen it and we're like, yeah, we could talk about that for a little bit. So feel free to
I think that's probably one of the best things that we can do in these podcasts is take the viewers' feedback and ideas, take those ideas and look into them for ourselves and give them our take on it. I think that's a cool thing about what we're doing here, and we want you guys to get involved. Makes it more entertaining for everybody.
It seems less self-indulgent of us if we're actually including other people, which I would really just like to do. It's not supposed to be insincere. We really want to hear what you guys have to think and say, because that's the reason we're doing this kind of stuff. It's not just for us. We don't like to just hear the sound of our voices.
Exactly.
We like to hear your voices, which are the most important thing. But that just, helps me transition into the fact that if this is your first time again, this is like our third episode. So we have two other ones. The first one we ever did was on just Batman versus Superman. It is kind of a companion piece to my review of Batman versus Superman. So the review is spoiler-free, or whatever, so you can just watch that if you haven't seen it yet for some reason. But if you have seen it, and you want to hear Joe and myself just kind of rip it apart and dissect it, that's where the podcast comes in. You can listen to it there and be like, all right, here we go. We're getting into the nitty-gritty. If there's something that you, in any of these things, you haven't heard, and you're like, man, I wish they would have talked about that, please tell us, because I'm sure it was an oversight or something we could definitely get into.
I'm still pissed about that casting choice for Lois Lane.
Yeah, I know. We still got that to deal with. Oh my goodness. Anyway, but so please check those out if you have the chance. Check out all the stuff we're doing on YouTube. It's always changing all the time. My buddy Tom, the editor for most of this stuff, he just did an unboxing / first impressions of this new iPhone 6s wireless charging case, which is really crazy to me. It's like you put this case on a phone and then you can go put it on a pad and it just charges it. I maybe that's not new to everyone else, but to me, I feel like, wow, we're getting there.
About that, Jimmy. If you're not using that after your review, could I got an iPhone 6 over here. I need some charging.
I'll tell Thomas if he's done with it. When he's done with it, I'll be like, hey, if you don't want this anymore, I know a guy. I'm serious. I'll send it to you. But yeah, so check that stuff out. And please leave us your feedback and share it with your friends, like and subscribe, do all those things, because if you want to see more of this, hear more of this, you know what to do. Exactly. And you can follow us on Twitter, I am at GoCritical. It's all one word, nothing fancy. And then Joe, you're
I'm at lever_627, and that's lever, just like beaver, only with an L.
Exactly,
And,
just like that. And again,
I was
what
going
were
to
you
say,
saying?
hey, that's the best way to keep up with what's coming from us, things we're up to, things we're doing, and we share all the YouTube info on there as well. So definitely follow us there.
Yeah, exactly. And again, thank you so much to Joran Evers, who did this picture. One day I'm going to twist his arm, maybe, and get a picture of Joe on here somehow. But he is excellent. He is amazing. I really can't stress it enough. He didn't pay me to say this. Like,
Hey,
I'm just doing it because I like the guy a lot. He's a talented guy.
Amazing artwork, and I checked out his profile, and that guy has some just pure talent, just awesome stuff.
Yeah.
And just a little preview, when he does the depiction of me, it's gonna be a guy with rippling abs, a little glisten of sweat, perfect chiseled chin and a little smile. Yeah, so
poor Joran, if you're hearing this, I'm so sorry. But I will link his ArtStation stuff. You can go check out it really is truly amazing, and you can follow him on Twitter. It's like his name backwards and like 28 or something. I will post it so you can see it. It'll probably be on the screen right now. But yeah, thank you again so much, Joe, for being a part of this. This is way more fun than doing it where I would just talk about all my opinions by myself. It's more fun to bounce them off a friend.
Brainstorm sesh, bro. Brainstorm sesh.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. And we're trying to do this on a weekly basis as best as we can. So if you are interested in more of this, we will be back hopefully next week. And feel free, like I said before, to check out our other stuff and let us know what you think. We're still growing, we're evolving. We're hoping to maybe even get a theme song at some point. That would be great.
Rock and roll!
Yeah, like something. Yeah, just exactly like that. I think that's the theme song. We'll just do that little soundbite just right before and right at the end.
Not only Twitter, but Instagram.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have to whisper about it. You can follow us on Instagram. I always forget about that one. I don't post a ton on there, but I post a bunch of like pictures I've gotten and stuff like that. But yeah, you can follow Joe and myself on Instagram. And Joe, you have a different Instagram.
Yeah, my Instagram is leverj627, so no underscore in that one. But yeah, you gotta share a lot on there too. People want the imagery, the feast for the eyes.
Yeah, I'm trying to think I don't know if I have any pictures of myself on there. I think on Twitter you can see what I actually look like. But I basically just look like that guy in the cartoon or the picture you see right here. But yes, well, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that we can continue this fun little conversation with you guys as we move forward, as we get closer to these really fascinating, truly fascinating pieces of media that we're getting in the future here. So thanks again, Joe. Thank you so much again for coming on. It was a great time.
Absolutely, Jimmy. It's always a good time. Always.
All right, guys. And one of these days when I actually get like a legit sign off, we'll start using that. But for now, take care and we'll see you later.
Peace.